Hey, what's up guys? Today I'll show you a psychological horror film, The Skin I Live In. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. Dr. Robert is a well-known plastic surgeon in Toledo, an old city in Spain. He's conducting frontier research on genetically modified artificial skin, and has made many breakthroughs. With its astonishing feature of bug-proof and fireproof, the skin is expected to replace those aging, burnt skins of humans, and will definitely trigger a revolution in the beauty industry. However, since this kind of technology is not yet approved to be applied to humans, the doctor has to take tests secretly on the girl Vera, who's been kidnapped and taken to his manor in the suburb area. He tests the technology numerous times on her, until someday the artificial skin proves to be a great success on her whole body. After the surgery, he asks Vera to wear tights all the time, to keep in shape. Dr. Robert likes to appreciate his newly done masterpiece, Vera. He can't help but check her through the monitor. However, it puzzles him a lot, for he finds it hard to make a decision, whether or not it's time to kill her. Vera also knows that she is worthless, and probably gets killed soon. So she takes actions, starting to seduce him. Dr. Robert is driven horny by such a hot lady, but turns worried at the same time, because he's not sure whether it's just her pretense, or her real intents, due to her Stockholm syndrome. Yet what he is pretty sure right now is that a horny beauty tends to a good liar. In order to keep it all a secret, Robert then asks the housekeeper to fire all of the servants. When the servants leave the manor, a weirdo in a cat costume walks in. He is actually the housekeeper's son, and comes there for shelter, because he just robbed a jewelry store and escaped from the police. He wants the doctor to change his face, to avoid being caught and sent to jail. But the mother refuses her son, believing that he's too crazy for that. Right then the catted weirdo checks around the house, and is astonished to see Vera on the monitor screen, thinking he may have seen her somewhere before. He's turned horny by her sexy body and tights, and desires to play hormone yoga with her. With a gun in hand, the housekeeper threatens him to get out of the house, but the catted weirdo easily takes her gun, and ties her to a chair, with her mouth blocked with a cloth. Then, he gets the key to Vera's room, and is extremely excited to rush upstairs. Hearing the gunshot, Vera thinks it might be a chance for her to escape, so she stands close to the door. When the catted weirdo opens the door, Vera kicks him, and tries to run away. But he grabs her leg to make her fall, and drags her inside. Moments later, Vera is overpowered, and raped by the muscular weirdo. Dr. Robert gets home from work. Seeing the poor Vera, he knows what happened. He is angry and shoots the weirdo, killing him, but leaving only his sick, smelly hormones behind. The next day, when the housekeeper cleans the bloody room, she tells Vera a shocking truth that Dr. Robert and the catted weirdo are actually her sons, and grew up together in this manner. Her weirdo son's father was a servant here, who left them right before his birth. That's why she didn't like her weirdo son. Due to the sterility of his wife, the manor owner made her pregnant, and give birth to a child later, who was Robert. The owner was happy about that, but hid the truth from people. Since then, the housekeeper stayed to be his secret mistress, and babysit the little Robert as a nanny, rather than his mother. She tried her best to take care of Robert, and he doesn't know the truth so far. And now Robert has killed his half-brother. Vera asks why the catted weirdo thought she looked familiar. The housekeeper tells her because Robert has given Vera his wife's face, and the catted weirdo has a past affair with Robert's wife. In the flashbacks, the housekeeper didn't care too much about her rebellious son. When he was 7 years old, he even started to work for drug dealers, then ran away from home. 12 years ago, he suddenly came back for shelter, and happened to meet Robert's wife. They both fell in love at first sight, and later they decided to run away for love secretly. On their way, however, they hit a car crash. The catted weirdo survived without severe injury, but because of the affair, he didn't dare come back from then on. Robert's wife survived as well, but got badly burnt. Still in love with his wife, Robert saved his wife, and tried to get her face and body back to normal. One day, when the wife approaches the window, she suddenly saw her horrible face in a mirror. She's so frightened that she couldn't accept what had happened, and chose to end her life, jumping out of the window. Seeing that her mother crashing onto the ground, and dying right beside her, Robert's daughter suffered from a severe anxiety disorder, resulting in her unwillingness to speak to anyone from then on. Robert suffered a lot from that, and became so obsessive about his research on artificial skin. That night, Robert gets home and expresses his love for Vera. His insanity drove him to surgically change Vera's face to the exact face of his late wife. Robert has a sound sleep with Vera sleeping beside. He dreams of his daughter and the happenings of 6 years ago. A long period after the trauma suffered from her mother's death, the daughter got much better, and Robert took her to a party one night. His daughter met a young man there and they both were hooked by each other. They sneaked out of the party and took a walk in the backyard. While Robert went to find her outside, he only saw a young man driving past him hastily on a motorcycle, which aroused Robert's suspicion. He kept searching and saw his daughter's clothes and shoes scattered on the ground, before finding his daughter lying unconscious. Judging by that situation, he's pretty sure that his daughter got hormone assault, and the motorcyclist just did it. He woke her up, but the daughter couldn't clearly explain what had happened that night. Robert regretted a lot for taking her to the party. And after that accident, his daughter was brought back to her traumatic past, and her situation even got worse. She was afraid of men, and often locked herself in the wardrobe. Not long after that, his daughter chose to end her life. Robert thought the motorcyclist was responsible for her death. It's revealed that the motorcyclist works at his mom's clothes shop as a designer. One day, he leaves the shop and drives to a party that evening. There he meets Robert's beautiful daughter. Haunted by hormones, they sneak out of the party and take a walk in the backyard. She's pretty nervous that time, for it is the first date for her in her whole life. When she's about to fall on a slip, he catches her body and begins to give her a tongue massage, which makes her more nervous though. Then, she takes off her coat and shoes due to her triggered anxiety disorder. The man is high on pill and mistakes to believe she's turned horny totally. So he hugs and kisses her, but she struggles and screams. She bites him, and he slaps her unconscious. In panic, the young man rushes away on his bike. A few days later, the motorcyclist leaves home to meet some friends and tells his mom he will come back for dinner. When he drives to a remote area, a car suddenly comes up and hits him, causing him to fall onto the ground. He then gets shot by a masked man and loses his consciousness soon. When he wakes up, he only finds himself locked in a dark room. He's confined in the dark for a few days and almost suffers a mental collapse. The kidnapper, Dr. Robert, shows up finally before him. Robert already located the motorcyclist's identity and made his plan to take revenge against that hormone hunter. The doctor cleans his dirty body and begins to shave his beard. The man is in fear and wants to know why. But Robert only wants to make him suffer the fear of mystery. After the body cleaning, the doctor puts the man on a transsexual surgery to confiscate his weapon as a punishment for his blind hormone hunting. The poor man asks why his private weapon was taken without his permission. The doctor, however, tells him that it is just a punishment for his rape, and he should be responsible for the daughter's death. The surgery is just the beginning. The man tries to convince Robert he didn't rape his daughter. Robert doesn't buy it, but rather, he insists he shall pay for what he's done. The poor man can do nothing but to take whatever the psychotic doctor does to him. On the other side, the young man's mother is worried, for her son doesn't come back for dinner. Without any choice, she calls the police, who just tell her that her son's motorcycle was found on the beach, but his body was probably washed away by the waves. The mother believes her son is still alive and doesn't give up looking for him. After a series of surgeries on his face, breasts, and vocal cords, the poor man is turned into a total female in look. He is forced to wear tights to keep in shape and behave girly. One day, he catches a chance to overpower Robert and tries to escape, but only to find all the doors are locked with automated devices. It's impossible for even a bird to flee out. So he damns all the sufferings and cuts his throat in front of Robert. However, Dr. Robert saves him, clears all the knives and sharp things out of the room. With more follow-up surgeries, the man is eventually turned into a perfect woman, wearing the exact face of Robert's late wife. And the doctor names his new wife, Vera. Failing to escape and commit suicide, Vera falls into great horror and despair. She starts to write down the days he's been trapped there. One day, she finds out some TV programs about yoga. When she learns that yoga can help her calm down and find her true self, she begins to practice it and feels relaxed during that process. Only at that time she realizes that although she lives in a female skin, he is still possessed with a man's soul deep inside. And the soul now misses his mom and longs for his own life. Despite that, after all the endless sufferings, he seems to have already got accustomed to his new face and manages to hide his manly emotions. He tries to be a good wife before her darling and behaves gently and girly during their hormone exercises. Robert is astonished by her changes. Although he still feels a little bit confused by his revived wife, he's attracted by Vera's face, so beautiful and flawless. Gradually, he treats her as his wife and forgets she was the motorcyclist before. On the other side, Vera is totally overwhelmed by such a good man who has turned him into such a perfect masterpiece. Due to the Stockholm Syndrome, she's sick for his love and acts as a good wife. Robert starts to relax and gives Vera more freedom, but only in the manor. One day, seeing Vera goes shopping with the housekeeper and comes back as usual, Robert thinks that her obedience deserves her full freedom. One afternoon, Robert's assistant comes to the manor and asks him to rent the manor out to run a hospital, which is denied by Robert because this house contains too much of his secrets. But the assistant seems unwilling to let it go that way. He then shows a picture of the missing motorcyclist and says he remembers the doctor has been involved in surgery for this missing man. So he supposes Robert has kidnapped him and threatens him to rent the manor. However, right then, Vera shows up and tells the assistant she is actually the missing man. But she won't leave Robert because she's in love with him, which helps Robert get rid of the annoying assistant and makes Robert totally trust Vera. One night, however, as they are about to play the hormone game, Vera takes an excuse to grab some hormone spray for the fast man downstairs. But she comes back with a gun and kills the shocking Robert without any hesitation. Hearing the gunshot, the housekeeper comes for a check, but gets killed by Vera immediately, who lives under the skin of Mrs. Robert for years, but ends up having never lost his soul. She eventually takes her revenge against the insane family, and frees herself from the years-long humiliation and fears. In the end, Vera leaves the goddamned house with confidence in his face, and finds his mom in the shop, trying to prove to them that her son is back. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Bye.